Hello, welcome to Calling America, where patriots from across the U.S. come together to discuss current bills being passed by Congress and executive orders being signed by former Vice President Joe Biden, and furthermore, how those bills and executive orders affect each of us in our respective states. As always, unless we are quoting direct sources, all statements in this video are personal opinions. You can find all sources in the description below. Hi everybody, my name is Danita Knickerbocker. Currently I work for Department of Homeland Security. I am from Utah and I'm here with Truth Matters. So Ethan, what about you?
Hello everyone, I'm Ethan. I am also with Truth Matters. I am also from Utah, but I'm also currently a college student at Utah Valley University. Courtenay?
I am Courtenay Turner. I am also a co-founder of Truth Matters. I am the host of the Courtenay Turner podcast, and I am a motivational speaker, and I am in California. Shawn?
Hi, I'm Shawn Wood. I currently work in sales, and I'm starting a YouTube channel. I am from Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada. Mitch?
Yes, thanks, Shawn. My name is Mitchell Peel. I'm from Georgia, and I'm a Department of Energy employee in project management. Been there for 23 years.
So first off, do people know about this bill in your state? Are people aware of it? Have they read it? Do you know of anyone that's really talking about it? Have you seen it on social media in your circles from people in your state? So from my end, where I'm at in Utah, most of the people that I associate with are government workers. They didn't know about HR-1 until I started telling them, hey, I wrote this article on election integrity and how this new bill that's being passed by Congress, or that's being attempted to being passed by Congress, I don't know how to say that. It's completely just mind-blowing to me, right? And what was even more mind-blowing is that none of them really knew about the bill until I told them about my article. So then some of them would read my article, or they'd just be like, oh, well, yeah, what's the bill about, right? For me, I don't mind reading a 600-page bill or listening/watching a 8-hour, 10-hour, 20-hour legislative proceeding, right? I kind of enjoy it, and I'll have it off in the background and it'll kind of go into my head and I'll catch things, and anything that I find that speaks out to me, I go back and I research it, right? And I really enjoy researching. As Courtenay and Ethan might attest to, I really enjoy researching. So I went through and I'm like, okay, what is in this bill? First of all, how can I get this information out there? Because most of the people that are around me and that I know had no clue about it, and they didn't want to read 600 pages. Well, something that I found when I was doing my research is the number one claim against voter ID, or really any election laws, is that they're racist. That just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form, okay? To say that you have to have an ID to vote as a citizen of the United States, to prove that you are a citizen of the United States in order to vote in the United States, is not a racist statement. So that would mean that 99% of all democratic nations in the world are racist. That is not the most sound logic, okay? And it's not the most testable logic. Something that I did put in my article is I mentioned certain places. You have to prove that you are a citizen of Brazil in order to vote in Brazil. Is that racist? No, it's only racist if the United States says it. It's only racist if the United States says it. That's just what it is, right? So this was something that I was looking at and I was like, what the heck? When I was talking to some of my friends, that are not as conservative or libertarian as me, a little bit more on the left hand side, they were like, oh yeah, it is racist. And I'm like, where do you get that from? Where do you get that from? And they're like, well, I mean, Black people just don't have an easy way to get an ID, and neither do Latinos. I'm like, don't you think that's a little racist for you to say that? For you to assume that Black people and Latinos and other minorities just can't get ID? Because what? Why do you assume that? And then they're like, well, I just assume it because it's just, it costs a lot. I'm like, so you assume that all Black people and Latino people and minorities are poor? Like, that's so racist. Like, the logic just does not back itself up. And that's what's really hard when you're talking about a 600-page bill that's already passed by the House of Representatives in Congress. Because of course, none of them read it all either. And most of them don't know that there's these little things put in there, you know, like, oh, you can't turn away anybody that's 16 to register. And then like 200 pages later, it's like, also, you can't turn away anybody that's already registered. But the voting age is still 18, right?
Mhm.
It's like, what the heck? So there's a lot of people that I talk to that don't really care. And I'm like, so does that mean you don't care about your own voice being heard? Does that mean that you don't care about other people's voices being heard? What are you doing to fight back against this? What are you doing to support it? And there's people that are just like, well, I just stay out of it. And a lot of people that say, I just stay out of it, they follow up with, I stay out of it because I feel like my opinion never matters. And I'm like, okay, so you feel like your voice isn't being heard, but you're okay with the government destroying our country more and more to make it so your voice really isn't heard even more. And they're like, yeah, basically. Like, this sucks. Last thing that I think is important for every state and not just Utah is that in the Constitution, there are about 9 places in the US Constitution where it goes over elections and voting. Nowhere in there does it state who is in charge of the election process or the voting process for the election of the Vice President and President of the United States. This is where the 10th Amendment will come in, as other people have mentioned prior to. And I love Mitch's statement earlier where he said, I feel like the Democrats are just throwing crap against the wall and seeing what'll stick. When we were little, we used to throw spaghetti noodles at the ceiling and see if they stuck and what they looked like when they stuck to the ceiling. My mom would come home and she'd be like, oh!
Well, if it sticks, it's done.
And it was just funny. It was funny. If it sticks, it's done, right? And obviously you throw more just because it's fun. It's always fun to see things sticking to the ceiling. Anyways, I totally agree with that. I feel like there's so much stuff that's just thrown in there, and Congress thinks that they have the power to do this, even though it was not given to them in the Constitution. The only thing that will save the states at this point is the 10th Amendment and their ability to create laws that are not directly given responsibilities to Congress.